Good afternoon. A little better than that. Good afternoon. That's an education thing. You go into a classroom, that's the way you start. It's a delight to be here, and I thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to try to take 25 or 30 minutes of remarks and get them into 17. So somebody's going to give me my 5-minute warning, my 3, and my 2, and my 1, so I stick with the program. Charlie, the next time you get that comment about what the secretary said to you, remind him that 89 to 90% of the school-age children in the United States are in public schools. They all become adults. Every one of them has an idea of what education should be all about, and what they liked about theirs and what they didn't. So maybe that would be helpful the next time you get that. And thank you to CED for your support and help, the Chamber of Commerce, in putting this gathering together, and the pleasure of sharing the podium and the panel with your wonderful superintendent, Dr. Maria Kostafin, who I've known because of our joint affiliation with the Harvard Graduate School of Education. So let me begin by setting some context. Perhaps you won't agree with me, but I believe that human capital issues are going to be the most important issues confronting public education in America for the next 10 to 15 years at least. Second, I hope that you know that the research is very compelling. The quality of instruction in the classroom is the most important variable that impacts student achievement in the arena that the schools can control. And second only to that is the quality of leadership in the schools, the principals. Those two variables need to be the laser-like focus of reform and improvement through change and improvement in public education in America. The other thing that you may or may not know is, on average, if you look at school district budgets across the country, 80% of most school district budgets, some a little bit more, some a little bit less, go for salaries and benefits. It is a people-intensive business. That's where most of the money is. And as in many organizations, it is all about the people. Who they are, what they can do, how they perform, and what kind of results that they get. And at the school level, it's even higher. 90 to 95% of a school's budget is in people. Very little in a school budget that principals have flexibility with, because it's all in the people. What I hope to do in talking about the human capital strategies is have you keep in mind that it requires some systemic thinking in school districts and at the school level to get the pieces to come together with the kind of alignment and coherence that effective organizations have across sectors, in my experience. Standards-based reform, which started to emerge in the late 80s and early 90s, was then a radical idea because it was based on the view that all students should achieve at a high level, not just a select few who had the opportunity and support to do so. It changed the dynamics dramatically in public education in terms of what the goal was. Graduate all students from high school, but graduate them ready without remediation to move on to some kind of continuing education or be prepared for some kind of a career. Again, not the select few, but all. We still have a long ways to go to reach that goal, but it is the appropriate one because all children deserve in this democracy what we would want in this room for our own children. Dramatic, big goal, hard to reach, but progress being made. So standards-based reform has really made a difference. And the problem was that 50 different states decided what the standards were. So we had a wide range in terms of the degree of rigor that was there. Now, some in the room may not be aware, but there are common standards now that are being put together in English language arts and math, and hopefully common assessments to take a look at what kind of progress is being made. That's going to give us a much better sense of how we're doing in America. I want to acknowledge the partnerships that exist as a result of many of you who are in this room and the importance they have in supporting in ways that are both useful and results-oriented for the business community as well as for the schools and the school district. I think we have to begin by thinking more differently about change and improvement. And I want to go to the human capital strategies and start with the young people that I'm seeing today. I teach a number of students who are in a master's program at Harvard. Most of them are 26, 27, 28. They graduated from college, they've done a few kinds of different things, and want to try teaching. They come in with a real commitment to do it, but they see themselves doing it for 3 to 5 to 6 years. They see themselves making 6, 8, 10 moves in the next 40, 50 years of their lives. They don't feel place-bound. They could never see themselves spending 30 years in the same classroom doing the same thing week after week after week, year after year, teaching math or third grade or whatever it might be. But they are committed, they're intelligent, they're great. Churn. So in urban school districts, in the first 3 years, a lot of school districts lose a third of their new teachers, and in 5, up to 50%. Now, sometimes it's for the right reasons, but a lot of times it's because people want to move on and do other things, and part of the time it's because of the culture that exists in the public schools, which really is not one that they embrace. It is still, unfortunately, predominantly a culture of isolation, where teachers are hired by people who are trying to get the best people they can in their schools, the principals and the HR people in central office. They're assigned to a grade, to courses. They go into the classroom for 5 to 6 hours a day, do the best they can with the kids that they've got. There's very little time built into the day for any interaction among teachers in most schools and school districts. They have a planning period, perhaps. They do the planning on their own. They don't have conversations. And there are a certain number of days in the year, so you've got to add days or add time on Saturdays for professional development and other things. That has got to change in schools if we're going to really be able to move forward. So let me start quickly. The preparation of teachers, for a lot of years, it's been driven by the certification and licensure provisions that states have. You have to take certain courses. You take certain courses, you get a certificate to teach a subject or a grade level or a K through 5 school or a middle school or a high school. And wide variation in the quality of those courses and the connection they have to what really goes on in schools.